Welcome friends to the Beaver Dam. So today we are talking about the very thing everyone is terrified of, and that is the name of this video. Your defense sucks. And it might be true, it's possibly true, it's most probably true. All of our defenses suck unless you're in like Wep One. And the thing is about defenses, if you're building for defense, it's usually a losing game. You don't want to build for defense, you want to build for offense, and as time goes on, you'll get some defensive tools in your roster. As you go along going for GLs, you're going to get yourself a Jabba eventually. The Jabba will go on defense. As you build more offensive teams, you'll shunt things that are better on defense to defense and keep the offensive stuff for offense. When you first get Jabba, he's probably going to be an offensive tool. But then once you have enough offensive teams, you'll shunt him to defense. And so you'll build up that defense over time. So overall, we want, look at these beautiful rosters that have things like, the Jar Jar, the Gungans, all those kinds of stuff. And we look at things like this where we have, oh yes, we want the Jabba on defense, we want JMK, we want a perfect Ray team, we want the Boss Nass, we want all the fun stuff on defense, but building for that defense is really not going to help you that much. So the idea that I want to get ingrained in your brain, bring myself back over here, is this idea from, sorry, I've switched, this idea from Inception. So in the movie Inception, they're looking for an architect and they try to hire this girl, and he gives her a test to see if she's good enough to be an architect, and he gives her 2 minutes to make a maze that will take 1 minute to solve. And this is essentially what we're trying to do. We're not trying to give you 10 years to get a perfect defense, because we want to be able to give you some time to build stuff up to make other people struggle just as hard as you did, or at least to some degree struggle just as hard as you did. Getting the Gungans is great. It's going to be a great defensive tool, but it's a ton of investment for what you're getting out of it. So that's the idea of 2 minutes of investment for 1 minute of actual getting it back is what we're looking for, because the Gungans are like looking at, 10 minutes of investment with getting 10 minutes of ROI. And so it's a good return on investment. It's just going to take way too much if you're trying to do that for each team on your defense. And so I want you to take a look at these teams. This is my top teams for being just a crap defense that's, that 2 minutes to 1 minute. You're really trying to build a maze that'll confuse, astound, and annoy your opponents. The more you can frustrate your opponents, the more you can annoy your opponents, the more they'll leave you alone, the more they're going to drop battles. It's going to be great for you. And so these are the ones that I've been loving on my free-to-play accounts, on my main account, even when I was a wee itty-bitty account 2 years ago. I still loved these teams, and I still love them to this day. And a lot of them can be used on offense as well, and so it kind of works out really well, and most of them are ones that you continue to build as time goes on, and so it's not a bad thing to do. Starting off with this top one is one of my favorite low investment teams for a defense, Iden Versio. Now, I don't want you guys falling into a logical fallacy of it has a counter, therefore it's not good on defense. Do you know how many people in Bronzium and Carbonite have like a going working Wampa to take down an Iden Versio? Almost no one. This team, literally, I've had it at Gear 8 take down full relic teams before that people throw at it, like even up into, Erodium. And that was with a Gear 8 Iden Versio with a Zeta, and that's it. Like, this team is wild, and I freaking love it. So don't sleep on the Iden Versio. I know, Wampa can take it down, but that's one less Wampa that you have to deal with, and now they have to find an answer for everything else on your defense. Iden Versio cannot be slept on. This one I've actually been really loving. I love this Emperor Palpatine Mara Jade team on defense, especially in Carbonite. I have a 2-star Mara Jade. I got 10 holds my first Grand Arena on my second account that we do with the members only stuff, and it's so much fun to watch people suffer, because you just have a little bit of speed in your Mara Jade and no one can beat you, because the average speed for a Piet in Carbonite is like under 200 speed. The average speed for a Piet even in Bronzium is like 220. Same with Chromium, 220. It's not until you start getting to Erodium that your speeds actually start picking up. So if you have a good turn meter train team that has just a little bit of speed in it, you can really make your opponents upset, and it's really entertaining to see. So definitely one to consider is Emperor Palpatine, Mara Jade, and just any Empire that you have lying around. I didn't put Vader on this because obviously we use Vader as a solo typically, and so you'll have an offensive tool and a defensive tool here. You can also just split this up into 2 offensive tools eventually. I used to use Emperor Palpatine and Mara Jade at 3 stars just to kill Geos all the time. So excellent team in general, but if you want one that'll bug your opponent, it's another great one. Now this one we talk about on the account constantly. You cannot go wrong with Azori. Even a low gear Finn team with Azori is going to do a lot of work if you invest 1-2 Zetas into it. It's going to upset a lot of people. So this is another one that you don't want to sleep on. As you can see, this is a Gear 9 Zori that I have right here, and I'm getting holds in Kyber too. Now, am I going to bring that Zori up one day? Yes, I promise I will. It's just not going to be today because I got to go for Ahsoka. But this team gets so many holds. And speaking of the same kind of Lightspeed bundle idea that's been going around, this one right here, this one is insane. Like, Arnold uses a Gear 10 version of this in Kyber 2 and Kyber 3 and gets holds in Kyber 2 and Kyber 3 with a Gear 10 Phoenix with Krex. If you have Relic Phoenix, please put a Krex on there, even if he's Gear 7. But in general, this is a great low gear team. You can get them up to Gear 10, and your opponents will suffer. It's another one of those turn meter trains. And it's not just a turn meter train, but it also bounces back. So if they land too many debuffs in their opening play, Captain Rex will get a huge turn meter push turn meter the whole team, and then all of a sudden the whole team's going, and you have to be super careful taking this one out. So don't sleep on your Phoenix as a defensive team, not just an offensive team. I know it's very common to look at them as a defensive team, but it can be, offensive team can be a really good defensive team. My mind is getting foggy. It's getting late at night, but don't sleep on it. Going into our next one, this is another one we talk about a lot, Qui-Gon and Anakin. You don't need a Relic Anakin to pull this off. You just need the Qui-Gon Omicron and some Jedi with Jedi Knight Anakin. I don't care what level your Jedi are, as long as your Jedi Knight Anakin's the highest geared on the team, he's still going to slap pretty dang hard. So don't sleep on this team. It's a great defensive team. It has one of the highest hold rates in the game and has the highest hold rate in the game for a non-legendary team, meaning it doesn't have any legendary characters required for it. Is fantastic. Please don't sleep on it, my friends. And so as you can see, these are the kind of ideas where we're looking at teams where you don't necessarily need to invest a whole bunch of relics. You don't need to necessarily invest a ton into these teams just to piss people off. That is the whole idea of a Grand Arena defense, is to piss people off. And for me, like, I'm getting to the point where when I see a full GL defense, I'm not actually that scared a lot of the times because I have the tools for it, because I'm building offensively. But when I see a whole bunch of teams like this, I go nuts. You've seen me in the last week. I've gone up against defenses where it's like a Zori on defense, and then a Phoenix on defense, and then a Seer Junda on defense. And those are the ones that really bug me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to look up a counter for this. I got to be careful, because if I do this wrong, then everything goes to crap. It's like a whole bunch of mini Rays on your defense. And that's what you want, is a whole bunch of mini Rays where you do one thing wrong and all of a sudden the whole counter just falls apart. And if you preload them, then all of a sudden you just can't win. That's what you're looking for with this stuff. So it's great stuff. Going into these are a little bit less important because, either they take a little bit more investment or they fall off a bit. To be fair, the Geos don't fall off for the simple reason that they break up into the fact that you have pilots, and GBA can fit as a pre-taunting tank in a lot of teams. I use them with my Sith Eternal and that type of thing. But regardless, no matter what, this is a great team. Territory Wars, it's great. I want to bring this up. A lot of these teams are in the top teams for holds, and as much as people want to argue about this and be like, Geos aren't good, I think this is hilarious. So this is the hold rate for teams right here. So you can see the percentage of hold rate. JMK had the highest hold rate during the season, obviously because of the Padme Cron. And you go down to the bottom, would you look at that? In the top teams is the Geonosians. Say what you will about them, they still have a great hold rate, especially in the first couple tiers of GAC up into even, you know, Bronzium and into Chromium. You can actually get some solid holds, and occasionally I'll get a hold in Erodium and Kyber as well. But, you know, say what you will, a hold rate is a hold rate. And, you know, a lot of these teams we're putting out there, you see a Qui-Gon right here, you know, you see quite a bit of our stuff in here. Like there is I don't even remember where it was. Is it down here? Oh, I was looking at the season before this last time. Phoenix is also in this list, the last season before this. Like, you can find a lot of these teams just hiding in this area. Finzori's always in the top, you know, like 20 teams for this. Like, it's all there. Speaking of, General Grievous is on that list. You can go and rewind if you don't believe me, or you can go check the stats for yourself. So go.gg. General Grievous with any random droids, you think he'd be gear 1 and he has his Metalloid Monstrosity Zeta, you're gonna get some holds here and there. You're definitely gonna bleed banners off the enemy. Yes, this is another team that can be killed by certain things, but that shouldn't stop you from taking meme teams and making them hard, because they only have one Wampa, and when you have a Grievous and an Iden, they're going to take down the Iden. Now they got to figure out what they're going to do about the Grievous, because, you know, Grievous, you just got to invest in Grievous. The rest of the characters don't matter, so they're always going to be like, oh yeah, the Iden, and then I got to fight the Grievous. This is going to be easy, and then they just lose a whole bunch of banners and start losing people because they're going up against this. The Metalloid Monstrosity Zeta is nothing to scoff at, especially in the early game. Another one I got for you. In fact, this Grievous team, actually, the Grievous team just got me a hold this week in Kyber. So, like, is it great? No. With the Stap, does it do moderately better? Yes. Do I think you should invest in the Stap just for defensive holds? No. Stap, General Grievous is definitely an offensive tool. But going to this last one is not so much an easy investment. This is a long haul farm, but this is one of the best long haul farms I can suggest for defense and offense. In the early game, this is so great on defense. It's one of those ones like Rey, where yes, Imperial Troopers beat it, but if they have their speed slightly off, it completely screws you over. You know, it's such an upsetting team and can really piss people off. This is what I was terrified of through all of up to Chromium, essentially. I was terrified of Darth Revan. Nowadays, it's a lot less scary for the simple fact of Lightspeed Bundles. Lightspeed Bundles give us GLs, and so worst comes to worst, you always have a counter to Darth Revan with your, you know, GL. But if you're throwing a GL against a Darth Revan, you're failing at the game as it is. So this is my little fun list. If you have another one that you think is a lot of fun to throw on defense, throw it in the comment section. I'd love to hear other ones that you guys have found. I know you can do some meme stuff with things such as like BT and Trip if you have an Afro farm going. I don't suggest that, and that's why it's not in this list, but I've gotten quite a few holds with my BT and Trip with just some garbage scoundrels. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this, and just remember that whole idea of we want a little bit of investment for a lot of work is the whole idea. If we are taking the time to build these massive puzzles in the early game, I'm gone. I'm back. And if you were taking time to build these puzzles in the early game, we're going to struggle. But if we, for now, make really memey defenses that'll piss people off, and then as time goes on, you'll add like an Executor to it, you'll add a Rey to it, you'll add a Jabba, then your defense is going to get solid, and people are going to be even more pissed, because then you can put all these crazy stuff up front, and they're like, oh my gosh, I have to face this Rey, I have to face this Gungans, and then they get to your back wall, and it's Iden, and it's Finzori, and it's all this memey stuff, and then they're like, oh, I just got through the stuff in the front. I thought it was going to be an easy back wall. It's like, nope, it's all memes, my friend. It's all memes. And there ain't nothing wrong with it all being memes. So let me know in the comments section a couple more meme dream teams for you for the defense, because I do love me some meme dream teams. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully this improved your defense just a hair. It is always damn great to see you guys here in the Beaver Dam. Have a great night.